Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Supernaturalist, the podcast where we explore the monsters, myths, and supernatural powers behind your favorite episodes of Supernatural. I'm your host, Shelly Meyer, and today we're diving into a particularly fascinating topic, telekinesis. We're looking at season 1, episode 14, Nightmare. So, what is telekinesis? Is it just fiction? Or is there a deeper lore behind this mysterious ability? Let's break it down. Telekinesis, sometimes called psychokinesis, is the purported ability to move or manipulate objects without physical contact, using only the mind. Think of objects levitating, doors slamming, or even throwing things across the room without touching them. In Supernatural, Max demonstrates telekinesis in violent ways, using his mind to harm others, control objects, and intimidate. Telekinesis has appeared in folklore, mythology, and modern fiction for centuries. In ancient cultures, shamans and mystics were sometimes described as being able to move objects through spiritual energy or divine power. In the 19th and 20th centuries, spiritualists claimed mediums could move objects during seances, attributing the phenomenon to psychic energy. Nobody knows for sure if this has ever happened. There's no evidence, and I'll get to that. In modern fiction, telekinesis often appears as a sign of supernatural power or psychic ability, sometimes used for good, sometimes for evil. Despite all these stories, there is no verified scientific evidence that telekinesis exists. Experiments have consistently failed to demonstrate reliable and reproducible results. So for now, telekinesis remains firmly in the realm of myth, folklore, and fiction. In Supernatural, telekinesis is often framed as dangerous or evil. Max, for example, uses his ability to manipulate objects and people in harmful ways, which escalates fear and violence and even death. Now, Max is this way because as a child, he was brutally abused by his father and his uncle when he was a child. And his stepmother looked the other way. Perhaps she was afraid. No one really knows. But because he found out that he had these powers when he turned 22, he began to use them. And when his father started drinking again, started abusing Max again. His uncle didn't, from what I could tell from the episode, watching it 15 times already, but his stepmother still turned a blind eye. So he has all of these years of pent up rage. And when he realizes he has these powers, he kills his dad and then he kills his uncle and later tries to kill his stepmother because she did nothing about it. And Sam and Dean come in and this is where it gets good. So the MO and lore for telekinesis, these telekinetic like abilities are often linked to curses, possessions, or psychic disturbances. Individuals might unintentionally harm others if their energy is unstable or if the ability is used for selfish purposes. Max isn't really selfish, he wants revenge. MO in Supernatural, Max's telekinesis is tied to his emotional state, mostly anger and resentment and fear that is amplified, and destructive power in his mind is going full force. So in both lore and fiction, telekinesis is potentially dangerous when uncontrolled. So can telekinesis be cured if it's real? If it were real, lore suggests a few possible approaches to cure telekinesis if it were real. Emotional and spiritual balance. Many traditions believe that psychic abilities can be controlled through meditation, discipline, or just spiritual guidance. Removing the source. In some myths, psychic abilities are bound to curses or pacts, and breaking those connections ends the power. The hard part is finding the curse or the pact to remove it. Again, this is not verified. In Supernatural, though, there isn't a cure for Max's violent telekinesis. The ability is so dangerous that Max ultimately takes his own life, severing the threat permanently. And that's where Sam and Dean come in. He was going to kill his stepmother, and then he was going to kill Dean. But Sam comes in and Max shoots himself. This highlights a recurring theme in the show. Some supernatural powers can't be safely contained, especially when they're tied to intense emotions or training. In folklore, often mystical or spiritual, sometimes accidental, sometimes guided by training or meditation. On Supernatural, emotional intensity, trauma, or malevolent intent often triggers powers like Max's, making them dangerous and truly unpredictable. Both portrayals show that telekinesis is rarely neutral. It's a power that amplifies human intent, good or bad. Now, a question for you listeners. Would you want the ability to move things with your mind? I mean, think about it. It could be amazing. No more reaching for that last item on a high shelf. But it could also be incredibly dangerous if you lose control. Many stories, movies that we've seen where telekinesis is in the forefront of the film, it never goes well. Max's story is a cautionary tale in Supernatural. Even great power can have tragic consequences. So that's it for today's episode of Supernaturalist. I've explored telekinesis from ancient lore to modern fiction and how it's portrayed on Supernatural and in lore through the characters like Max. And we all know that Sam has this premonition ability. We're not 100% sure if that is a real thing either, but for the sake of the epic show, Supernatural, let's go with it. Whether this is real or imagined, it's a fascinating look at the intersection of power, emotion, and morality. I'm Shelly Meyer, and next week we'll examine Season 1, Episode 15, The Benders. This episode creeps me out in a lot of ways, and if you haven't watched it, I suggest you do because it's really, really off the wall. Until then, keep your minds sharp and maybe don't practice telekinesis at home. Please like and share and subscribe, and I hope to see you next week.